Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Every person has a name given to her by God and given to her by her parents. Every person has a name given to her by those who hate her and by her love. These words of the Israeli poet Zelda locate us in the names we've been given in life and the names we've earned throughout our lives. Our many names, the public ones written on our birth certificates and used when we're called to the Torah, and our private names that only one or two people know about us, are a testament to the relationships that gave rise to our lives and those that we've built throughout our lives. Now, God is not so different from us. So, it's a loaded statement. So take a moment, think about a name that you've given or that you've been given that not anyone else here knows. Now, the amazing thing is that God has those names too. There's Hashem and Elohim, the ones that are revealed and are public in the Bible, something like God's birth certificate almost. And then, there's a long tradition of human beings naming God also. Hannah names God Hashem Tzvaot in her prayer. Rabbi Akiva comes up with the moniker Avinu Malkeinu, whose prayers are answered. And these private names of God are loaded. Just think about what it would be like if, being introduced as you stood up here to speak, someone called you by a name that you wish they had preserved to be kept in private. Right? How would it affect both your public persona, but more significantly, how would it affect that relationship with that person? Your ability to trust them and your ability to hear that name. The name would sum up a whole relationship in a few seconds of sound, and the trust that's broken there. There's actually this very troubling story in the Talmud where that's precisely what happens. A rabbi uses a mystical 42-letter name of God we have recorded nowhere in public as a show in the market, and is punished for it. He loses his life, as does the rest of his family. And this puts us as modern people in something of a bind, because on the one hand, we have a desire to turn our relationships with God, those private names, the power of that moment of intimacy and love, and often laughter, that gives the ability to name and to be named, and to use that when we speak to God. And at the same time, we're drawn back from it. And so it might come as a surprise that what we're about to say, the prayer out of the Qabbalat, is actually a name of God. And by that I mean that if you'll count in your Sederim, Qabbalat has 7 lines, and each of those lines is composed of 6 words. These are 42 words. And the origins of the prayer, according to all of the commentaries, is that the first letter of each of these words, the first 42 Rashi Tevot of the list word to be compressed, are this 42-letter name of God. And to avoid kind of the direct, private intimacy of the name, we turn it actually into a prayer. We turn God's name into a prayer. In some ways, the kind of request or the call that's directed to each of us when our names are spoken. And so as we sing these coming lines, I want to start with just a reflection for a few seconds on that name, the names that we've been given and the names that we give, and to try to speak to God with that intimacy and hope and confidence to sum up this relationship that we have and that we're building in a few seconds of sound and of song. Shabbat Shalom.